What happens when outdated warbirds challenge the world's most advanced fighter jets? In 1994, 6 pilots dared to defy NATO and paid the price in the skies over Bosnia. This isn't fiction, it's the true story of a brutal dogfight that changed modern air combat forever. Welcome to Historical Stories, and today we dive into the high-stakes clash where F-16s made history in the deadly Banja Luka Incident. Outgunned, when F-16s hunted the Hawks, it was the cold dawn of February 28, 1994. High above the war-torn hills of Bosnia, 6 pilots from the Bosnian Serb Air Force set out on a daring bombing mission, flying aging Soko J-21 Jastreb jets. Their objective was to strike a weapons factory deep in enemy territory. Their leader, Franko Vukmirovic, knew this mission violated the NATO-enforced no-fly zone, but orders were orders. The plan was to fly low, hugging the terrain to avoid detection. But as they neared their target, the jets had no choice but to rise to 2,000 meters to begin their bombing run. That moment of ascent lit them up like flares on NATO radar. Over 50 miles away, a pair of US Air Force F-16s patrolling the skies picked up the radar blips. The radio crackled to life. Black flight, you've got 6 bogies, bearing 320 for 52, altitude 7,000, flanking. The 2 American pilots banked toward the contact. A battle was about to unfold. Back with the Serb formation, Vukmirovic locked eyes on the factory below and armed his bombs. The Jastrebs, simple machines compared to the high-tech NATO fighters, still used optical sights, and as each target crept into view, the jets released their 550-pound bombs. Explosions erupted on the ground. The target was hit, but triumph quickly turned to terror. They dropped bombs, weapons free. The F-16s, previously passive enforcers, had now been given the green light to engage, and so the hunt began. Trailing the Serb formation was pilot Zlatan Senolik. Just as the last bomb struck, he spotted something in the sky, a missile streaking toward one of his comrades. A bright flash. One of the Jastrebs vanished in an explosion, its wing torn away. The rest broke formation and dove, trying to disappear into the valleys below. But the American jets were faster, deadly, precise. One F-16 pilot switched to air-to-air mode, his head-up display locking onto another Jastreb. An AEM-120 AMRAAM missile roared off the rail, locked onto the fleeing target, and within seconds, detonated. Another jet down. Kanolik's jet was now alone. Dodging between hills, he skimmed over treetops and even electrical wires. A Sidewinder missile locked onto his heat signature, closing the distance fast. He dipped just low enough that the missile exploded near the wires instead of his jet, though the blast ripped into his vertical stabilizer. His aircraft was damaged, but still flying. He reached for his radio. Nothing. Silence. The hit had knocked out communications. Behind him, the F-16 pursued relentlessly, until suddenly it broke off, out of fuel. Elsewhere, Vukmirovic and his wingman Mikadovic weren't so lucky. An AMRAAM streaked through the sky and hit Mikadovic's wingman squarely, obliterating the jet. Moments later, another missile slammed into Mikadovic's own aircraft. Fire consumed his fuselage. Fighting the burning controls, he pulled the emergency canopy handle and ejected into the sky. A parachute bloomed behind him. The dogfight continued. As the first 2 F-16s reached bingo fuel, the minimum required to safely return, a fresh pair arrived to continue the engagement. The Serbian pilots could hear the fear in each other's voices as their comrades were picked off one by one. The valleys that once gave them cover now became death traps. Vukmirovic and his last wingman, Zoric, knew they were next. In a desperate gamble, the 2 Jastrebs dove at full speed toward a cliff. At the last moment, they pulled up. Vukmirovic's jet clipped the ground and erupted in a fireball. No parachute followed. Zoric tried to escape, ducking between hills, but it was too late. Fox 2! Another missile launched. It struck Zoric's tail, and his fighter erupted in flames. He tried to eject, but at such low altitude, the parachute never deployed. He fell into the fiery wreck of his own aircraft. One pilot remained, Senolik. His damaged aircraft limped across the countryside, instruments flickering. Then another F-16 appeared. Expecting the final blow, Kanolik prepared to eject. But the American pilot didn't fire. Instead, he pulled alongside, locked eyes with the Serb, and saluted before turning away. Of the 6 Serb pilots, 3 were killed, 2 were shot down and captured, and 1 made it back. The mission failed. The price was high. That day would go down in history as the Banja Luka Incident, NATO's first ever combat engagement. The victorious American pilots, Captain Robert Wilbur Wright and Captain Stephen Yogi Allen, were credited with downing 4 aircraft between them. 3 kills for Wright, the most by a US pilot in a single mission since Korea. Years later, Sonolik would reflect, "I hold no anger toward the American pilots. We were soldiers, doing what we were ordered to do." In the end, it was not just a clash of machines or men, but a stark reminder of how outdated tactics and older technology could not match the precision and speed of modern warfare. The skies belonged to those who could dominate them, and on that day, the F-16s reigned supreme. Conclusion: the Banja Luka incident wasn't just a mission gone wrong, it was a turning point. It marked NATO's first combat kill, showcased the brutal speed of modern air warfare, and reminded the world that the skies are ruled by those who adapt. This was more than a dogfight, it was a warning from the future. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because the skies have many more stories to tell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.